This is a Flying Cow production. Well, hello and welcome back to the Great Film Challenge. I, of course, am Clay Johnson, the Flying Cow himself, and here with me for this podcast is my nephew, Aaron. Aaron, how we doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I am good. So last time we announced that in honor of AAPI month, Heritage Month, we were going to review a film. I will say, we mentioned the fact that it got a little bit away from us.
Yeah.
And I do feel bad about that. But to be honest, I was looking at the list, and while there are definitely films on this list that surprised me. And I'm like, some of the foreign films they have on here, I wouldn't have expected. Those are pleasant surprises, things like that. But when it comes to representation, for a lot of things, they're a little lacking.
I can kind of see on some of the ones I've seen.
And to be honest, I mean, I'd have to go through it again to be 100% sure.
Yeah.
But there aren't a whole lot of other films that would have worked. The only other one that I can think of off the top of my head is Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, I'm fine kind of keeping for another thing because it's a classic film.
Yeah.
But there's not, honestly, you would expect maybe something like a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon or something like that. I mean, I'm definitely glad that this is on the list, but there's a few more that maybe I would expect to be on there. 2 out of 100, I feel like we could at least do 2, maybe even 3 more.
Yeah.
Would be nice. But we got what we got. And as we have already discussed, we can always supplement if we feel like the list is lacking. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in later podcasts. But right now, I think that we should go ahead and talk about the film that we're here to talk about. What do you think, Aaron?
Oh, talking about the movie, yes.
Yes. you got lost
directly into the movie. I was like, oh.
yeah. It's all right. It's all right. We've been staring at screens for a while. We're a little dazed. I get it.
Too long for me.
Yeah. All right. So we are talking, of course, about the martial arts classic, 1973's Enter the Dragon. It was directed by Robert Klaus, written by Michael Allen, and stars Bruce Lee, John Saxon, Anna Capri, Bob Wall, and Jim Kelly, and lots of others. I will say I definitely, obviously, I've heard of this film, and I've heard a lot of, kind of the legend surrounding it. It was, unfortunately, the film that came out, it actually was released a month after Bruce Lee passed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't really think, I mean, I'd have to refresh my memory, but I don't think that the filming really had much, if anything, to do with his death. I do know that like something happened and he slipped into a coma, and
I remember it was some medical that killed him. I think it was a heart issue or something, but
sure,
it had to do with medication is all I remember.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think it was accidental. Like, I don't think it was
Yeah.
actual health things. I think it was health complication
Yeah.
things. But we're not really here to talk about the man's death. We're here to talk about his film. But yeah, so I was aware of all of that around it, but for one reason or another, I just never seen the movie. And I have seen like one or two other Bruce Lee films. I wish I could remember off the top of my head which ones they were. I know that I have seen him like in bits and pieces. I've seen like scenes from when he did Green Hornet, because he was the kind of sidekick in that. And I've definitely seen it, at least, was it? Oh, I think it was, I think it was Fist of Fury.
Oh, okay.
Which the version that I saw was dubbed, and it was fun,
yeah,
but kind of silly.
Okay.
And I will say this film, I think, unavoidably does have a hint of silliness to it, but it's also just because it is just so like serious, like so overly serious and overly dramatic. And so unfortunately it can't help but be a little silly because of that. But I don't know about you, I really enjoyed this film.
I did too. I liked it a lot. I really loved some of the I'm thinking about it.
Okay. Is the hamster part off the wheel? Get back on. Get back on, Roy.
Wheel?
Huh?
What wheel?
Exactly. What wheel?
I did really like a lot of the martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
It was very like cinema like type of martial arts. It's not regular, of course, because
well, I mean, I will say one of the things about Bruce Lee is Bruce Lee actually championed.
I was going to say he genuinely did a lot of that.
Yes. Oh, I mean, it was like that was his focus was martial arts. I mean, definitely it was slowed down in comparison to what he could do, but he also knew that that was necessary for American audiences. But he really championed kind of representation, not just for Asians, but for martial arts, and for the society, the culture of martial arts. That was a big thing for him. And I mean, you can tell the man's life was dedicated to that kind of pursuit, because
it really
if you look at him, like there's a guy in this film that that looks big, looks jacked, but then you see Bruce Lee, and that man, like, he is not like a large person. He's actually, I would say, about average. But the man looks like a muscle, like a living muscle.
Was very ripped.
I mean, like I said, crazy. not like buff or jacked, or I mean, he's definitely jacked for it, but not what we think of. Because now with the proliferation of steroids and things like that, we just assume that anybody jacked is large. Even if they're small in stature, they're going to be kind of muscles out to here, and his are just so realistic, like they're regular sized human muscles, but they're so toned.
I like that. How we got to see his true physique, and it actually showed his dedication and genuine work that he put into all of it.
No, I mean, I do want to talk a little bit about the story here, just for anybody that is unfamiliar. Basically, Bruce Lee, I mean, the thing about a martial arts film is like a dance movie from the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
It's not really about the story. It's good if the story is at least engaging.
Yes.
You know, if it gives you something to kind of understand what's going on. But we're not here for the story.
Yeah.
We are here for, in those dance movies, we're there for the dancing. In the martial arts movies, we're here for the martial arts.
Yes.
That's what we are here for. And I will say I found that definitely very impressive. I mean, as you say, you know, it was a little slowed down or whatever, but just the physicality of what they were able to do, knowing that for the most part, especially with Bruce Lee involved, there are no stuntmen going on. This is him.
I really
He's
like
doing
that.
all of that. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the same thing that people would say later about like Jackie Chan, you know, and, you know, other, you know, martial arts masters of cinema. You know, they do all of that themselves. So that was really cool. But, you know, just to kind of talk a little bit about the story, basically, Bruce Lee is, I guess, hired by, I think, the FBI to investigate this guy whose name, of course, I clicked off of it. Yes, Han, who basically the FBI believes that he is involved in drug smuggling and all of this sort of other illegal activity. And so they have sent Bruce Lee basically to get the evidence. And I mean, that's really all he's supposed to do is just get the evidence. Of course, you know, sending Bruce Lee over there to do it, it's like sending Rambo to go do it. You know, it's like, he's not going to just take pictures. He's going to fight some people.
Of course he is.
He's going to take down the whole thing by himself. That's how that works. But yeah, so he goes there under the guise of taking part in Han's big tournament. Basically, the idea of this tournament is to find, I guess, the best martial arts experts in the world. I will say this is a plot that has been reused for lots of martial arts films have reused this. I mean, if you've ever seen the first Mortal Kombat,
I still haven't seen any of the Mortal Kombat movies, but I've played basically all of the games.
I will say the first one is fun.
Yeah.
It is goofy.
Very
goofy
from when
but it is fun. I will say the last one was closer to a serious movie, but it actually was still fun. It actually kind of I mean, I'd have to rewatch it to say that it's anything close to this, because I truly do think that this was kind of ahead of its time. It set the tone for martial arts movies going forward.
I wanted to see the recent one, but
Enter the Dragon is what I'm talking about. Yeah. But the new Mortal Kombat, I think it's good. And I think it takes the source material seriously in a way that it precludes the goofiness of that original movie, but it's still an enjoyable watch for people that want to take the source material seriously. They can, you know, but if you want to laugh at it, the first one is where to go. The second one, where they go to the hell dimension, is just, it's garbage. It's not good.
The sequels are almost always horrible. We need to fix that problem.
But yeah, so they get called in to do this tournament, and we end up meeting other characters. Roper, played by John Saxon, who basically just seems to be a compulsive gambler.
Yeah, he has a gambling addiction.
He bets on everything.
It's funny.
And then a character which we eventually find out is, I guess, his best friend. Where they met, we don't really get a whole lot of their backstory. We just know that these two are friends. They're tight.
They said something about Nom.
I was about to say, I would imagine that they're probably war buddies. I must have missed that line.
Maybe.
But that was kind of my assumption, is that they
Yeah,
were probably war buddies.
Probably.
But yeah, that's Williams, played by Jim Kelly. I honestly, I mean, I wish we got a little bit more of Williams.
Yeah, me too.
But I enjoyed what we got of him.
Yeah.
I also found Roper a very interesting character, partially because John Vernon did a lot of this type of movie. Like, he's a lot of the supporting character in like action movies or, you know, movies like this, very often as the bad guy.
Yeah.
To the point where when he wasn't the bad guy in this, I had to be like, oh, okay, that's different, but all right. I mean, it's definitely not the only film he's not the bad guy in.
Yeah.
He's not a movie that we watched together. He's not the bad guy in Nightmare on Elm Street, the first Freddy Krueger film. He's a cop, actually. Which I think the last time he was a cop he was a corrupt cop. So, you know, yeah. But yeah, so, you know, it's fun to see them in this film. But yeah, I will say, you know, the plot falls to the side pretty quickly. Each one of those characters has like one match that they win, all in different fashions, kind of showing us bits of their character. I appreciated that.
Me too.
I appreciated the fact that, you know, Williams won his with style. We can tell that this guy is interesting. He is fun. And then Roper basically gets his ass kicked for the first couple of minutes of the fight, but just keeps coming, which honestly to me tells us more about his addictive personality.
I was gonna say
is that he just keeps going, and I think he would have kept going until he was knocked out himself. But he ended up winning the fight.
I couldn't tell if he was doing he was waiting until he got knocked down 3 times.
I mean, was that one of the rules in it? I will say I don't know that I really remember the rules. Yeah,
that's not what I mean.
I mean, I will say I don't know that they're important because
I was gonna say they didn't really make a clear rule set at all.
I just kind of assumed when he did that, oh, okay, it must be go until somebody's knocked out. That must be the rule. It might not be, but it might as well be, because that's basically what happens. And then but I will say I kind of wanted to see a little bit more of this tournament happen.
Yes.
But pretty much after that, after each one of them gets a round 1, everything kind of falls apart because, you know, Bruce Lee did some snooping, beat up some guards. And so now they've got to prove some points. And then, unfortunately, Williams gets killed because they suspect him.
That sucked.
Yeah. Oh, it really did. And then,
I really
you know,
hated that.
different machinations happen. And like I said, the whole tournament just goes away.
Yep.
But like I said, I didn't mind what was happening instead because, you know, I was enjoying the fights and everything that were happening. I will say though, I wouldn't be surprised if some filmmakers were inspired to do their own tournament movie because they always wanted to see more of this tournament. You know, like I honestly can see that being a reason why somebody would be like, well, I'm going to do a martial arts tournament movie, but we're actually going to do the tournament.
Yeah.
Because who didn't want to see the rest of that fight in that tournament and Enter the Dragon?
They got enough fighting towards the end.
Oh, absolutely. Right. But there's something about a tournament that's really,
tournaments are always cool.
Yeah. I always enjoy a good tournament. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it pretty much devolves into kicking and punching and fighting, and Bruce Lee wins. Yeah. But I will say there's just something like you watch it now, and there are a lot of other martial arts movies like it.
Yes.
But knowing that this one set the template, and it does so in a way that's just really engaging.
I honestly agree. It was really engaging.
Yeah.
A lot of the like action and intensity, as well as just the sort of relaxedness on any logic or story
sure
was completely out the window. So it was like
I said, it wasn't necessary. I imagine that nobody even in 73 when this movie came out went in expecting an intense story. They went to see Bruce Lee fight. That's why they went to go see the movie, and they would not have been disappointed. I totally agree with those people that call this a martial arts masterpiece. I mean, it's the reason that I said it.
I did like a lot of his fights. All of the fights, really. I liked all of them.
Right. I will say, I keep thinking you're saying I didn't like it. So nope. I'm just like, really? And then I
hated this movie. It's the worst one so far.
No. All right. Well, I mean, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about this film?
I loved that Han was just like cartoonishly Mr. Evil.
Okay. Sure.
And big bad, and he constantly would just anything wrong,
sure,
or again antagonizing you could think of,
sure,
he would end up doing.
I will say, I'm glad you said that, because halfway through the movie, I realized, especially the second half of the movie, what it reminds me of is a James Bond film.
He does kind of. I've not watched any of them, which
sure.
It sucks because I want to.
Definitely,
but I can see what you mean.
That
I've seen enough things to know.
I would say definitely Connery, even a bit of I can't think of the man. Roger Moore era. Not when it got really ridiculous Roger Moore era, but some of the more grounded Roger Moore films.
Okay.
It definitely feels like that era of Bond, which honestly is around when this movie was made.
Yeah.
Coming out of Connery into Moore. It just, like you said, kind of the villainy of the villain, kind of the archness and the convoluted plans and, just the kind of semi-grounded ridiculousness of it. I just really felt that. And honestly, there aren't that many Bond films that I vibed with, but this felt like one of the ones that I do. So yeah. But yeah, if that is it, then we will go ahead and let people know how they can get into contact with us. Of course, you can always get us on the social medias. We are at the Flying Cow Pod and also you can email at theflyingcowpod@gmail.com. Make sure to check out everything that we've got going on, and wherever you are listening, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, let more people know about us, leave a review, all of that kind of good stuff, so that more people can find us. But at this point, Aaron, normally we would spin the wheel and decide what we're going to be doing next.
Yep.
But partially because AAPI month passed us by, and also partially just because, I wanted to do it, and I looked at the list, and I felt like we had at least a few movies that fit the theme. We are going into the month of June. We are going to be celebrating Pride Month.
Yes.
So we are going to be doing at least, I think at this point, they really only have two explicitly
Yeah.
LGBTQ themed
the,
films.
Like, frontline, the
Yeah.
parts of it.
And then one, which we're actually going to be starting with, that's kind of talking about when things had to be coded. So our first film to kick off the month of June is actually going to be now all of a sudden it fell out of my mind. There it is. Breakfast at Tiffany's. And if you're not sure how that fits in, tune in next week and we'll explain it. But make sure that you check that out next week. But until that time, moo.